Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at Saint Joseph.
Okay.
And I think, a lot of us as devout Catholics, we have a strong connection to Mary.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I feel like Saint Joseph gets kind of left in the background a bit.
Yeah, he can be kind of the strong silent type, right?
Yeah, and then you start to hear these things about his holiness, and you're like, wait, what?
Right.
So we're going to be exploring that today.
Absolutely.
Why Saint Joseph matters and how we can bring him more into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I have some great resources for us.
Oh, good.
Primarily, we're going to be looking at a book called Devotion to Saint Joseph by Father John Elbert.
Okay.
And that's from 1952. And then we'll be pulling in a few other devotional booklets as well.
Wonderful.
So it's interesting to me how, devotion to certain saints seems to kind of ebb and flow throughout history.
It really does.
You would think Saint Joseph, being, the earthly father of Jesus,
Right.
would have been right at the forefront from the very beginning.
Yeah, you would think so.
But devotion to him really didn't fully develop in the West until the late 1800s.
That's true.
That's kind of surprising to me.
Yeah.
So what happened? What sparked that?
Well, it was actually in 1870 when Pope Pius IX declared St. Joseph patron of the Universal Church.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, the world was in a really tough spot, lots of unrest, and the Pope at the time felt like a strong devotion to Mary and Joseph was really needed to help us navigate those difficult times.
Makes you think he must have seen something very special in St. Joseph
Oh, absolutely.
to elevate him to that level.
He did, and it all comes down to what Father Elbert refers to as Joseph's eminence.
Okay.
And eminence means his unique position in both the order of nature and the order of grace.
I've heard those terms before, but honestly, I need a little refresher.
Yeah.
Can we break that down?
Sure. So the order of nature just refers to Joseph's earthly role,
Okay.
his daily life.
Mm.
He was the head of the Holy Family, the one who was entrusted with raising Jesus, providing for Mary. He was a carpenter, a worker, a husband, a father. So he lived out all of these roles with such incredible faithfulness.
Yeah, so it's like his example as a man living out his faith in the world,
Exactly.
dealing with, the challenges of family and work.
Mm-hmm.
It's relatable.
Oh, absolutely.
Then we have the order of grace.
Right.
So that's getting into more of his spiritual standing.
Exactly. It's his holiness.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting because theologians argue that his holiness might even surpass that of all the other saints.
Wow. Okay, hold on. Except Mary, of course.
Except for Mary, of course.
Why would they say that?
Well, think about it. He was chosen by God to be Jesus's earthly father, to raise him, to protect him, to guide him. He lived in constant intimacy with Jesus and Mary.
Right.
And some theologians even suggest that because of this unparalleled proximity to holiness, that Joseph may actually exist outside the typical categories of grace as we understand them. It's a really fascinating thought.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. It really makes you realize that he wasn't just some passive figure standing in the background.
Yeah.
He had to have been something really, truly extraordinary.
He really was. And that's why understanding both the order of nature and the order of grace is so essential to understanding Joseph's eminence. He embodies this incredible balance of the earthly and the divine all intertwined. And that's what makes his example so powerful for us today.
It really is.
Yeah.
Quite amazing.
It is. Yeah, it really is remarkable when you consider how he navigated, those practical demands of daily life, but also this immense spiritual responsibility of caring for Jesus. It's inspiring, but it also makes me wonder, how can we in our own busy lives, often kind of chaotic lives, how can we tap into that same grace? How can we develop a stronger devotion to Saint Joseph and really experience his guidance and protection?
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people are looking for when they come to St. Joseph. It's like, okay, so we hear about this holiness and his importance, but how do we make that real in our lives?
Exactly. And that's where the beauty of Catholic tradition comes in.
Yep.
We have these time-tested practices that have helped people for centuries deepen their relationship with St. Joseph.
Okay. What are some of these practices?
So one of the most popular is the 7 Sundays devotion.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that one. It involves meditating on his sorrows and joys.
It does, exactly.
Okay.
So for 7 consecutive Sundays leading up to his feast day on March 19th, you contemplate specific moments in his life.
Okay.
And you reflect on both the challenges he faced and the triumphs he experienced.
That sounds really powerful, like actually journeying with him through those key moments.
It is.
What are some of the specific sorrows and joys that are included in that devotion?
Well, the sorrows touch on some pretty profound events.
Okay.
The doubt he must have felt when he learned of Mary's pregnancy, the fear and uncertainty of fleeing to Egypt with a newborn baby. The anguish of losing Jesus in the temple.
Right.
I mean, it's a reminder that even this great saint experienced those moments of darkness and confusion.
It makes him seem so much more human.
Yes.
And relatable. We've all had those moments where our faith is tested, we feel lost and unsure of what to do. Absolutely. And to see that reflected even in the life of the saint is really encouraging.
It is. Then, of course, we have the joys. So, the reassurance Joseph received from the angel in his dreams, the overwhelming joy of witnessing the birth of Jesus, the relief and gratitude of finding Jesus safe and sound in the temple, and the awe of seeing Jesus grow and begin his ministry. So these moments highlight that unwavering faith and trust that Joseph had in God's plan, even amidst uncertainty.
Yeah, it's that cycle of sorrow and joy, darkness and light, that really resonates, with our own human experience.
Yes.
Comforting to know we're not alone.
Exactly.
When we go through those things.
You're not alone at all. And, as you meditate on these events, you're not just passively observing, you're actively inviting St. Joseph into your life.
Okay.
Asking for his intercession, seeking his guidance and protection.
So it's like having a spiritual companion walking alongside us.
Yes.
Someone who truly understands what it means to face those challenges with faith and courage.
Beautifully put.
Thank you.
And if you're looking for a more contemplative way to connect with St. Joseph, there's always the litany of St. Joseph.
Oh, yes. The litany. I actually have a booklet with 2 different litanies.
Oh, wow.
Dedicated to St. Joseph.
Interesting.
What's the difference?
Well, they both encapsulate his virtues and roles, but they use slightly different language and imagery.
Okay.
You can choose whichever one speaks to you most at any given time.
So it's about finding those words and phrases that really speak to your heart.
Exactly.
Sometimes when I pray a litany, though, I'm just like running down a list of titles.
Right.
What would you say is the best way to pray it so that it feels really meaningful?
Yeah, it's all about slowing down, allowing each invocation to kind of sink in, don't rush through it. Pause after each phrase.
Okay.
Picture St. Joseph in your mind's eye. Reflect on what that particular title or virtue reveals about his character and his relationship with God.
So really being present to the words, using them as a springboard for that deeper contemplation and connection with him.
Exactly. It's a way to move beyond that surface level and enter into a more intimate conversation with this great saint. And of course, as with all prayer, we're asking for his intercession.
Right.
We're seeking his guidance and his help in our lives.
It's not just about, praising him. It's about inviting him into those struggles and joys.
Yes.
Seeking his wisdom and support.
That's right. Now, if you're drawn to a more structured and tactile form of prayer, there's the chaplet of St. Joseph.
I've seen those.
Yes.
They have those kind of unique beads, right?
They do. It's a beautiful and distinct chaplet, quite different from the rosary. And it often incorporates meditations on specific events in Joseph's life as you pray the beads.
So it's like a combination of the 7 Sundays devotion and a traditional chaplet.
You could say that. It's another way to immerse yourself in Joseph's story.
Okay.
Contemplate his example and seek his powerful intercession. And that physical act of moving the beads can help you stay focused and present to the prayer.
I could see how that would be helpful, especially in our world of constant distractions.
It is. It's like grounding yourself
Yeah.
in the prayer. So we have the 7 Sundays devotion, the litanies, the chaplet. Anything else?
Is there anything else?
Well, there is one more practice, but it's definitely for those who are seeking a really profound and structured devotion.
Okay, what is that?
It's called the Little Office of St. Joseph.
I've heard of that. It's pretty intense, right?
It is. It involves reciting specific prayers and hymns at various hours throughout the day.
Oh, wow.
Much like the liturgy of the hours that priests and religious pray. So it's a beautiful and ancient tradition. But it does require a significant commitment of time and dedication.
I might need to work my way up to that one.
Sure.
But it's incredible that there's so many different options, so many ways to connect with St. Joseph, depending on our individual needs and preferences.
It is. That's the beauty of our faith. There's always a path for us, no matter where we are on our spiritual journey.
Yeah, it really is amazing how the church provides so many different approaches to prayer and devotion.
It is.
There's something for everyone, whether you're, drawn to more structured rituals or spontaneous prayer.
Right.
I think that's especially true when it comes to St. Joseph. He seems to appeal to people from all walks of life.
He does.
Regardless of their personality or, preferred way of praying.
Absolutely.
There's just something about him.
There is.
That universal draw, even though he's often portrayed as this silent figure in the background.
Yeah. A strong, silent type.
Yeah. And that actually brings up something that's been on my mind throughout this whole deep dive. Father Elbert talks a lot about St. Joseph's silence, how he never speaks a word in the Gospels.
Right.
But isn't there a paradox there?
Yeah.
He's this silent figure, yet he's held up as this incredible example of faith and fatherhood. How do we reconcile those two things?
That's such a good observation. I think his silence speaks volumes.
Okay. I'm curious to hear your take on that.
Okay. So to me, it speaks to his profound humility and obedience.
Okay.
He didn't need to assert himself or, draw attention to his own importance. He simply trusted in God's plan and quietly went about fulfilling his role, even when it involved, unimaginable challenges and sacrifices.
Yeah, his actions were his language.
Right.
They spoke louder than any words could.
Exactly. And in a way that makes his example even more relevant for us today in a world that's so full of noise and distractions. It's a challenge to cultivate that kind of inner silence.
Yeah.
That willingness to listen and obey, even when we don't fully understand.
That's so true. It's a lifelong practice learning to discern God's voice amidst all the clamor of the world.
It is.
But St. Joseph's example gives us hope that it is possible.
It does.
He shows us that true strength lies not in our words, but in our actions.
Yes.
In that quiet faithfulness, even when no one is watching, makes you wonder, if we could tap into even just a fraction of St. Joseph's silent strength,
right? How
would that transform our lives, our relationships, our work, our faith?
It's a great question to ponder, and I think that's the beauty of these deep dives, They spark these kinds of reflections that stay with us long after the conversation is over.
They really do. So as we wrap up our exploration of St. Joseph, I'm left with this sense of awe at his quiet power and this desire to integrate more of his spirit into my own life.
Wonderful.
What's one practical step you would suggest to someone who wants to cultivate a deeper devotion to him?
I think simplicity is key here.
Yeah.
You don't need to overcomplicate things. Start by incorporating a simple prayer to St. Joseph into your daily routine.
Okay.
Maybe it's a quick prayer when you wake up or a moment of reflection at the end of your day.
Yeah.
Just ask for his intercession, his guidance, his protection. Just that small act of acknowledging his presence in your life can make a world of difference.
Yeah, it's a reminder that devotion doesn't have to be grand or elaborate.
Right.
It's those small, consistent acts of love and surrender.
Exactly.
And as we approach his feast day in March, perhaps we can all consider taking on the 7 Sundays devotion.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful way to immerse ourselves in his life and draw closer to his heart.
It is.
I know I'll be joining you in that journey.
Me too.
Thank you for taking us on this deep dive into the life and legacy of St. Joseph.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, may his peace be with you.